Good afternoon. So in the 6th grade, I started 2 activities, basketball and the trombone. Any guesses about which I stuck with? If you guessed basketball, you were incorrect. And this is not an indictment on basketball, it's an indictment on my skills as an athlete. I don't quit easily. And in the 6th grade, I started basketball, played for 3 years. I was the bench warmer on the 2nd string of the B team of my middle school basketball team. Awesome. In 3 years, I scored exactly 0 points, and the one time I got possession of the ball, I ran the wrong direction to the opponent's basket. So probably basketball and I were not a match made in heaven. And but I gave it due diligence. 3 years. I did this for 3 years. I was bad at something for 3 years. And at the end of the 8th grade said, all right, maybe it's time for me to do something else. At the same time, 6th grade, rewind, I started the trombone. My mom was a band student in middle school and high school, and she gave me a little nudge and said, you should check this out. I had a great time, I think you might as well. And I'm so glad that I did. So I started band in the 6th grade, and for the first several weeks, I sounded awful, which is pretty typical when you first start an instrument. For those of you who've done that, you know. And I went to class every day. And at the end of the first marking period, my first report card in middle school, I got a C+ in band. In band. A C+. P.S. This is what I do for a living. In the 6th grade, my first report card, C+ in band, with a comment from my teacher that said, Jonathan needs to practice more. Well, I would like to share with you that I was motivated at that point because I didn't want to get anything less than an A. And to this day, middle school, high school, undergraduate, and master's degree, that C+ in 6th grade band is the lowest grade I have earned. So, for a long time in 6th grade, I just worked really hard because I wanted to get a good grade. And then we had our first concert. And we played this. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but when you're a 6th grader, that's a lot. And we got to stand up, and the trombones were featured. It was a little blues scale that we played, which was pretty incredible. And for the first time, music was fun. And so I stayed, and there was more. A year later, I had an opportunity to play my first solo. And this is kind of a dated reference because the person who I liked the most at that time, this was in the 80s, was Whitney Houston. She was my favorite singer. My tastes were a little different than most of my classmates, and I had an opportunity to stand in front of my band class and play a solo. And so I chose a song by Whitney Houston called Saving All My Love for You. When I listened to Whitney Houston, I had my headphones in at home, I sang so loud, I got to feel all of the feels, and it was so powerful to feel what I was feeling when I was singing along with her music. And so I thought, what better than to be able to do that on the trombone? And so I'm going to play a little excerpt from that solo. I can't tell you what the song's about because it's not appropriate for a school talk. But as many of you know, if you like music, it's sometimes not literally about what the words means, it's about how the music might make you feel. So this is Saving All My Love for You. And for the first time, music was a megaphone. It gave me an opportunity to say the things through my instrument that I couldn't say with words. I was having a lot of confusing feelings about who I was, about what I was, about where I was, and I didn't know how to say the things I was feeling. I didn't have a voice. And this was the first time that I found a voice. I found a place for my feelings to have a place. Music was a blanket. I felt safe, covered, and protected by it. So moving on to high school, and when I got to high school, band was a fun thing that I did, and it was a place where I felt safe and accepted, and I had a lot of friends, and that was great. But there was a moment in my junior year where something happened, and it was through a piece of music, as you're catching the theme here for the afternoon. So I'm going to play a little excerpt for you, and then share with you the meaning of the excerpt. So, that excerpt was the first time I felt loved through music. My high school band director, who to this day is my hero and my mentor, is one of the most important people in my life. I had to work really hard to play that at that time, and I came back and we sat down in a rehearsal and the trombones played it very well, and he stopped and he gave us such a compliment. He gave us such praise, and it was the first time I remember feeling that sense of connection where I felt seen, I felt heard, and I felt valued. And those were not things I got to feel a lot of in high school. And to have that experience while holding a trombone made this connection so powerful. And so I stayed, and there was more. I decided I wanted to make a career out of music and wanted to be a music teacher. And in order to do that, you have to make an audition and you have to try out for schools. And so I was preparing an audition, and my parents didn't have a lot of money, and the only way that I knew I was going to be able to get into college was if I got a scholarship for my audition. And so there's a lot of pressure riding on this audition for me to do well. And I went into my audition, and music failed me. It was the first time I felt like I didn't work out. I felt failure. The audition went horribly, and I was crushed. I thought for sure I had missed my opportunity at a scholarship, which also meant maybe missing an opportunity at even going to college. And that pressure felt very real. I was devastated. But through that, a door opened. And that door that opened was the teacher that I auditioned for saw tenacity and saw hard work show up where maybe quality didn't in the audition, and he took a chance on me. And he gave me a scholarship. He gave me an opportunity to go to college. And it was something I'll always be thankful to him for. But that opportunity was the reason I stayed. And is the reason that there was more for me in music. As I get through college, I'm starting to come up on, 12, 15 years playing the trombone. And I'm starting to get a little bitter, a little bit jaded, a little bit like over the fact that I've given up so much time to this thing and I'm wondering why. But I pushed through to the end of my degree, and I taught band for a couple of years, and I quit. I was burned out. I had given up friendships and relationships and opportunities, or so I thought, and I quit. I walked away. I was done, and it felt really good. It felt really good to just be like, see you later. I don't want to have anything more to do with you. You've taken 15 years of my life. You robbed me of time. You robbed me of friends. You robbed me. It was all of these things that I felt like music, teaching, my trombone had taken from me. And it felt really good to walk away. Well, at the end of that year, it was about a year that I ended up taking off. I wasn't planning to take off a specific year, but at the end of a year, I did have my trombone out on a stand just like this, actually ironically enough on a rug, a circular rug, just like this in my room, and it was mostly covered in dust at this point because I really hadn't played it. It was more like a piece of furniture in my bedroom. And for some reason I felt called to pick it up, and I had not felt called to pick it up in months, and I picked it up and started playing again. And for the first time in what felt like a long time, I felt whole again. I felt like a part of me that had been missing had shown up. And through a series of steps over the next several months, I decided that there was something for me with music, that I had walked away but needed to come back. And that took me to get back to applying and looking for jobs. I came back to teaching, but the opportunity that presented itself was to start my life over in California and come to Amador. And so after quitting and then rebooting my career as a musician and as a teacher, I had an opportunity to move to California from Michigan, and I came here to Amador and have been here for 15 years, where I stay and where there is so much more. And that's the heart of what I wanted to share with you today, was that there is so much to be said for the staying power of staying. That when you are in a situation with an activity or a sport, something where you find passion and joy and purpose, there are going to be times when it doesn't feel worth it, and there are going to be times when it is easy. There are going to be times when it's hard. There are going to be times when you want to walk away. What I know in the time that I've been here in the last 15 years is I had to get through some good times and some really bad times to get to this sweet spot where I've been for 15 years. And I have known love and relationships and amazing students and experiences and travel around the globe, all because of what this has brought me and because I stayed. Now, I had to walk away, I had to quit, but I had to do that to come back. And so I want to leave you with something. I had to look this up because I didn't know this, but the traditional gift for a 30th anniversary, because my trombone and I are turning 30 this year, the traditional gift for the 30th anniversary is a pearl. So I'm not giving you all a pearl. Sorry, I don't have that kind of money. But I am giving you, I would like to offer you a pearl of advice, and that is to stay. Whatever it is, if it's not causing you harm, if it's not causing those around you harm, there's power in staying. There's truth in staying. There's you in staying. This piece in metal and I, as I said, we've been together for 30 years. And I think that there's more of me inside that trombone than any other place on the earth. And that makes me a little emotional to think about. But I know it's the place where I find myself again and again. Thank you.